Hey everybody, it's your old pal John, otherwise known as a history buff. We're back with, guess what? Best of Philomena Cunk Moments 5. I know you guys are going to roast me in the comments. Fine by me. I'll do my best to keep answering them. In the future, we're going to be doing a little bit more in Europe. I think I'm going to take the channel towards a more European approach. Let me know what you all think about that. You can, whatever you want to do. Send me a message. However you want to do it. Let's get going on this. I haven't seen this yet.
People were prudish back then, weren't they? If they saw his penis, they'd probably have a stroke, wouldn't they?
I remember that one.
Probably. I don't think that would have made it onto the meme.
I remember her cracking up in one of the last ones I did.
That's not a joke. What's funny about that? If a policeman broke the law, would he be able to arrest himself?
I don't think so, no.
What you're saying
You could arrest yourself. That'd be just turning yourself in, I
might
think.
actually be stupid, but it's hard to tell because he says it with clever words.
We don't want pedagogic figures coming in and didactically shouting at us.
So the only people who can actually tell if he's stupid are clever themselves, and they think everyone's stupid compared to them anyway. Was Beethoven good at music?
Yeah, I mean, he's considered to be the best composer of Western classical music ever.
Beethoven wrote that song that goes da da da.
We've seen this one, I think.
Da 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 dum.
I think they're.
What do those lyrics mean?
Well,
When my friend Paul went to Thailand, he
love
had a
Paul.
bad pill and ended up crying and trying to run into the sea for 3 weeks. Next time,
What?
it's mean.
well,
When my friend Paul went to Thailand, he had a bad pill and ended up crying and trying to run into the sea for 3 weeks.
Oh, he took. He bought a pill of Thailand. Yeah, don't take anything from Thailand.
Next time on Moments of Wonder, I'll be asking, how much are new trousers?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Why was it so dangerous to show Elvis from the waist down? Was he naked underneath like a pervert on a Zoom call? Then he brought out a book called Revolution about how unfair everything is. And so you'd know he meant it. He pulled a serious face on the front. It was about how catapultism is naughty and how we could build a better world if we were nice to each other instead of spending all our time thinking about coins.
Actually, okay, he is. I think Russell Brand has kind of changed the way he does things. He was on like heavy drugs for a while. He's more about love, I think, nowadays, and equality and whatnot. Which is absolutely 100% great. How do you guys feel about Russell Brand in Britain? Just curious, or in Europe?
Early cave artists started out painting whatever was close to
The hand. Yeah, I remember
their
that one.
hands. Then they branched out into stories. Initially, just boring stories about cows standing still. But
Still
soon
like
they
that.
began creating white-knuckle fight scenes like this. Humans versus cows 2D. To a caveman,
versus
this was
cow.
the thrilling equivalent of Fast and Furious Part 7. I found it boring, but I wasn't sure if it was boring because it was boring or boring because it was good. Like how the theatre's good, but totally boring.
I totally get what
Bruce
she's saying.
Willis, right, had done this film called A Good Day to Die Hard, and it had this brilliant trailer full of like amazing things happening, like explosions and more explosions, which is brilliantly done. All the fire looks hot and everything. Moonlighting looked brilliant, sort of
All the fire looked hot.
effervescent, like full of life, but not as good as the new film that looks amazing with all the stuff that blows up and the exciting shooting and everything, and all the computerized pictures where everything explodes and the big writing and the banging and the booming sounds.
Okay, clearly she's she likes the fire, the explosions, because the fire looks hot. I don't know what to say about this, but that's an interesting ramble. Bruce Willis, of course, has a form of dementia now, and he's not acting. But yeah, leave it to me to kill a mood.
In terms of noise alone, it's probably the
she's
best
still
film
doing it.
ever. Like once my mate Paul was slicing a pear at a festival with his penknife, and it was just unbearably tense to watch because he was really drunk and sort of cutting it in the hand he was holding it in, and I could hardly stand to watch that. He'd talk about how the status quo keeps the working classes enslaved, which I found sort of boring compared to the stuff he used to do about putting his dinkle into granddaughters. They had all cameras outside and they flew over in a helicopter so you could tell what a building looks like from the air when there's police inside it that you can't see. Usually politics is really boring, but this year it got more interesting because it had Russell Brand in it. It was good because when politicians talk, they use all this boring language normal people don't use, that you can't understand. But he cut through all that by talking in Victorian. My mate Paul says that...
It's true. He speaks on a completely different level. I am really curious to hear what you guys think of Russell Brand.
The virus is spread by a new 5G phone signal, but the mainstream media is trying to cover that up just because it isn't true. And the helicopter and everything. And then him killing people, like really killing lots of people with guns, like people were mums and dads in histories. And he just mows them all down because they're sort of bad, probably. I don't know, I haven't seen it. There was this exciting historical drama thing about these four sort of hat and beard men who had these lightsaber fights, except the lightsabers are made out of metal instead of electricity or whatever lightsabers are made out of. It's like a children's thing, but for adults. So it's like for adult children. Some people said the government was secretly going for a policy of herd immunity, which is what happens when the majority of the population has already had something and won't ever get it again, so it totally dies out. Like what happened with fidget spinners. A rules is basically a collection of laws. The first example being the Ten Commandments, which were left on a hill by God. Many of those laws, killing, gravity, and the one about not interfering with oxes, are still used today, even though God's dead.
Whoa, that's okay. Like, all right, if you said that here in the States, that'd be pretty hardcore. People get pretty ticked off about that. But she's just great with that because God is dead. Gravity as a law, okay.
Phone companies say 5G is safe, but they can't know because 5G is totally unlike anything we've seen before, apart from 4G, and 3G, and 2G, and 1G, which I think was called WAP, probably to put us off the scent. Anyway, this year Epstein died in a freak necktie accident while one of his prison guards was blinking for too long. Anyway, now they're trying to impeach him, which I think is...
Just curious, what do you guys think on that topic? I don't want to get demonetized, but you know, on the topic of the person that she was just talking about.
Impeach him, which I think is some sort of skin treatment to make him the right colour again. The last president who got impeached was Bill Clinton, who had to resign and was never seen or heard of again. But then Clinton's crimes were unforgivable, like doing hand and mouth stuff with a lady who wasn't his wife. I don't know what Trump's accused of, but I'd be amazed if he's ever done something as bad as that. Next time on Moment...
Oh my God. The things that Trump has done, and
It's a wonder. I'll be finding out how all these little flaws make it easier to get between the big flaws. Apparently everyone's caught polarization, which is this sort of brain disease where you're angry all the time. It spreads on the internet and there's no vaccine for it yet. And even if there was, I wouldn't take it because I don't believe in vaccines anymore because of Facebook. The good
that's true. It's neat commentary on well, hurtful comments, weird comments that are on social media. I mean, it exploded really quite recently. I mean, the internet's been around for a while, but man, the comments they really do polarize people. I'm pretty sure that's what she was talking about, but yeah, even you can hide behind a computer, kind of, and you know, that's just. I think everyone's guilty of saying something behind the screen or off a screen, you know, just making comments, but meh.
Thing is now we've got backup copies of all these animals, so when the environment goes to shit and all the real ones die, we can still go to the zoo in VR. It's quite controversial, like Joaquin Phoenix is totally appropriating clown culture in it. There's whole scenes where he's in whiteface. I mean, I know it was a different time when they shot it in 1981, but he must be mortified. It's resurfaced now. He'll probably never get cast
It
in
does look
anything
like
ever again.
81.
If there wasn't police, we'd be able to do what we liked, which is great. But then the police wouldn't be able to do what they liked, which is be the police. And that would be against their human rights. Normally, I'd just ignore the terrified pleading of a child, but even I've noticed the weather's been a bit weird this year, like it's on shuffle mode. 1 minute it was colder than ever, and then it was wetter than ever, then it was hotter than ever. At one point, the Amazon caught fire, which must have been a real blow to those people trying to chop it down. It shows even men who've been trained to kill and have been handed implements of death by the state still like to let their hair down. They could probably do it as a victory dance.
What in the hell?
Like on the battlefield over the bodies of people they've killed. And the music's quite loud, which would drown out the screaming. Culturally significant, the Renaissance or Single Ladies by Beyonce.
They both have
remember
their
this one.
period. They both have their time.
Grown men taking the piss out of a 16-year-old girl sounds cowardly, but when you think about what massive wankers it made them seem to literally everyone, it's an act of extreme heroism in a way. A bit like being a first responder rushing selflessly into the Twin Towers, but the cunts version of that. Next time on Moments.
I gotta say, I do like what Greta I think stood for early on. I believe her. I mean, and I don't know as much to comment on what she's doing now. I know it's causing some. The crowds are going crazy, you know, when she shows up. A friend of mine was in Montreal, and he was there for it, but he's like anti-Greta, and I mean that's, I don't know, just something feels right about it, about a younger, like a child being you know, just wanting to have a future for themselves. I don't know if it's gotten out of hand. A lot of things spiral out of hand. I have to read up on that, but I have to actually find out what she's been up to.
Of wonder, I'll be finding out how to get the noise out of plates.
What the hell? All right, that was it. That was the best of Philomena Cunk's moments 5. I don't think that these are, well, I don't think that was all Philomena, but I mean, she was in character. It must have been a different series. And yes, some of the things we did see more than one time, and they've been in some other great moments. But yeah, I appreciate you guys writing in the comments what you all thought about things to do in the future. I got some great ideas going on, and you know, like it or not, a comment's a comment, always helps. Thumbs up, share it out. Please subscribe. The channel is really growing, and I do appreciate that personally, and I think we've got a neat group going on here. All right, everyone, take care, be good to each other. I'll see you when the next one drops.